I don't have an intro for this. My name is Anthony Jambuso, and this is a breakdown of my song Pray. That's good. That's a good intro. I like that intro. This song and this whole album really is a great departure for how I normally make music. Normally, when I make music, I record live drums all the way through, and then I layer some rhythm guitars, some bass, some extra guitars, and then vocals, and then you have a rock song. This and all the other songs on the album were all electronic based, so there's no live drums. For the most part, everything is completely different from how I normally do it. So, this song in particular, Pray, actually started on GarageBand on my phone. Quick story time. Few years ago, this was probably 2023, 2022, something like that. I had some downtime at work, and I was just messing around with synths and distorted guitars and drum loops and whatnot on my phone. I came up with this loop, this idea I had in my head that more or less sounded like this. And I just made like a 20-second pass or whatever and sent it to a bunch of my friends, and I'm like, have you heard this song before? Does this exist already? This is kind of a Yesterday by the Beatles situation. I was sure it existed already, and everyone said no, doesn't exist. So I extended everything to about 3 minutes. I turned it into a song. I quickly jotted down just edgy lyrics on my notepad, and on my lunch break, I ran out to my car. I used these wired headphones with this microphone and recorded vocals right here like that. And it sounded like dog shit. After it sat on my phone for a while, I went through and exported all the multi-tracks. Then I went home on my computer, downloaded them all, threw it into Reaper, and then started adding real guitar and real bass and some more percussion elements and live vocals, which we'll get into. Anyways, that's the story. Let's start breaking down what we're actually hearing. So this is the first loop in the song, which is just a 4-on-the-floor drum groove with a bit crusher fucking nuking it. And on top of that, I added these snares and claps. And I knew that was a great intro. When I wanted it to kick in, I added this sub kick. Now that's a full groove. Cool stuff. Then comes in this live bass that I tracked. That plays pretty much throughout the whole song. This is the original GarageBand bass that obviously I've replaced and muted, but, you know, this is the MIDI live bass. Very, static and doesn't move like a human would. What else we got? We got some rising noise. This, I'll admit, this part was very influenced by, I believe the song is Flux by Poppy. There's like this rising noise thing, and then it just kind of lingers way up top, which I was really into. So I added that, and once it gets to the top, I added. Let me see if I can find it. I really should have organized these tracks before I dove in, but who gives a shit? Right here, Trip Hats. That's like supersonic hi-hats. I want it to be like very like almost undetectable, just like noise. But if you notice, it is an actual pattern. It's Herta's basically. What do we got in here? We got the actual sound. Let's turn everything off. Oh, that's not gonna work. Okay. This is what they sound like, just the sample as is. It's kind of got like an insect sound to it. And I pitched it way up. I took out most of the sound with EQ to make it really like cicada-y. Then it looks like I crushed it a bunch. Yeah. And then I added some panning. Cool stuff. When that noise like trails off. It kind of like fades into this like digital corrupt, insect sound. Moving on. These are the guitars that come in. So that's just a guitar DI. The heavy amp sound on it. I crushed it up. And the other guitar sound is not all that different. It looks like I added some reverb before the amp. Yeah, I wanted a little extra tail like in the distortion, so added some reverb in there, some delay at the end of it, and just some EQ. Slight bends going up. You'll notice most of this is dressed up in Bitcrusher. Anyways, those are the live guitars. Yeah, this is the original GarageBand guitar. Huh. That's not what I thought it was going to be. I think I couldn't do power chords the way I wanted to, so I added another layer with just a fifth above it. So now we get into the verse. And if you remember on my Instagram and YouTube and whatnot, maybe you don't, and that's okay. I made a video about the green bullet, which I have right here. And at the end of that video, I actually recorded vocals to this song. And you'll notice that the vocals in that video are actually the take that ends up in the song. And we can hear that right now. I'll show you how I dressed that up as well.
When all the bloods run dry in your river dam,
I started with some
and
light
we open
compression.
up the sky so it all can spill right through.
Just barely
You're
kissing it.
running out of time to make it clear.
Then I added some EQ to brighten it up.
If you want to keep your mind, you've got to pray for it.
Then I added some saturation. That's what most of the distortion is coming from. The way I described this microphone before is that it has a gain knob on it. A lot of comments saying gay knob. Yes, it has a gay knob on it. When I bought the microphone and in the years prior researching this microphone, or not really researching, more so just fantasizing about owning one, I had the understanding that it had a distortion chip in it, which it does not. Its gain is just volume. But the frequency response is still comparable to a guitar pickup, meaning it responds very well to distortion and guitar amps, amp simulators, and stuff of that nature. So, yes, it has a volume knob, but you're not really getting the distortion from that. You're just getting a sound that complements distortion very well. So you still have to add distortion. I added the soft tube saturation plugin. Just, just kissing the sound. You'll also remember from that video I did a weird fucking shriek at the end. I don't know, I think I thought it was being funny or something, but I ended up liking the sound, so it's in the actual song. Yeah. That's the main vocal for the verses and whatnot. We also have these call-out vocals. So these are the original take from the GarageBand file with my headphone microphone.
Pray for it.
Very dry. They're just EQ to bring out some high notes.
Pray for it.
And they're just the GarageBand stock distortion settings. I think one of them was a megaphone setting and the other one was a telephone setting. Just something different on each side. It doesn't matter what's what. But that's what they are. I was being very innovative in my car that day. This is me hitting my keys against my water bottle. And I added some distortion and EQ to it. Gives it kind of a anvil sound. What is this? There's a reason that was muted. Some sound design stuff. This little transition thing right here. I'm gonna solo it in place so you can hear it.
You've got to.
I love that sound. So that came from... I just opened up a separate project and I'm messing with my Mini Moog VST settings, just like fucking around. It got to a point where I created some weird feedback thing that didn't make sense. It was like, it broke somehow. And I just started getting all these like crazy sounds. And I took that, it was like a 13-minute long session that I did, just like fucking with shit. I took 2 tiny sections from that. I found a warbling rising sound and then a drooping sound, and that's how I got this little transition. Big fan of that. I also use the same session in Let the Machines Figure It Out, there's a like angry synthesizer stuff that's just like chopped up samples from that. So that's where that comes from. I added a 808 as well. I try to use it sparingly. Now for the second verse, here's where things get really fucked up. Dummy. I didn't realize that you could see this little window. That's fine. I'll just move it around. I was gonna edit this after and cut it in where I want it, but whatever. As long as I can move it, I guess. Who gives a shit? Okay, I added the snare and claps track, and just added some distortion to it. So this is where the change happens. Just to add a little more depth to that, because that started to get drowned out once I added all these fun things. I called this Distorted Kit, where I took my go-to MIDI drum engine, which is, I believe it's like MT Power Drum Kit. It's awesome, and it's free. So I took that, and I added an amp sim on top of it, and basically just grabbed samples from each element on the kit, and then chopped it up and arranged it, and I reversed some samples and, time stretched and just really mutilated these samples. And that ended up being this. And I wanted these hi-hats to be more eager and aggressive. Now they're coming in a lot more often. And that's for the second verse. And that's where it cuts to, instead of being so chopped up like that, it's just one big kick snare loop. So longer tails. Still with the distorted china. Yeah. Hard cuts. I listen to Nine Inch Nails. So that's the drums for that. For the second verse. We also have... What do we got here? These are hi-hats, I believe? Okay, yeah. Great. So, drum-wise, second verse comes in and it all sounds like this. I also remember putting a lot of effort into, you'll see these crazy EQ moves on the snare. I wanted it to resonate at the at the flat 5 of the key of the song. So the key of the song's in G. These should all be about a C sharp. Yeah. Which ones are these? So notches 6 and 7. We also have some synths that come in and some new guitar tracks. This is what the guitar loops sound like soloed. To me, it's kind of like Queens of the Stone Age lines with Nine Inch Nails makeup, which is my whole shtick. Making this sound. How do you make this sound? I added, there's Amp Sims, obviously, and Bit Crusher, obviously, because I'm like that. And then we got this fun thing, which we'll get into in a second. So this is regular Amp Sims. It's not a lot of gain at all. But then I crushed it up. Now where the sound really gets interesting, and this is my favorite Reaper stock plugin, is Reaffir. It's like this weird processing plugin, which isn't all that weird. It has like, you know, EQ, gate, compression, different stuff, but it has this subtract setting where, here, I'll copy it and I'll actually show you what it does. Let me set it to subtract. Now you're not going to hear anything. You'll only hear what you bring down in the frequencies. So I'm starting to drag this down. Now you're only hearing 1K and neighboring frequencies. It's under that threshold. Makes sense? So you can add a bunch, you know. You can really carve out interesting sounds with this. And that's exactly what I did. It's really helpful if you have like some sort of ear candy background sound that's like taking up too much space in the mix. You can solo only where you want it to sit. And you can do it in such a way that you don't even notice that a weird thing is happening. Or if you're like me, you can crank the weirdness up to 10, and that's, you know, I wanted it to sound weird, so it did. So that's the guitars. There's also more guitar stabs that come in with the Chinas. So this is another GarageBand sound. Same stabs as before, but now there's flanger on it. Very cool. This is another GarageBand sample that I was gonna throw away, but I wanted more just, you know, attack and bite just right up the middle, so I kind of buried it and EQ'd all the low end away. Now this tritone synth, it comes in a few different ways throughout the song, and this is the first time you hear it. That's throughout the verse. And it's a little buried, but then when the chorus comes in, it amps up, and then there's also this distorted version of it that is layered in with it. Just adds a little more depth to it. Going back to the vocals for the second verse, my homeboy Trent Reznor, in the 90s, he did this trick a lot where he just cranked a fucking tremolo and it creates this weird like distortion effect when it goes super fast. I just smashed everything with saturation and compression, and then threw this tremolo on top.
You are stokes of flame as it swallows you. Your power, wealth, and fame devours you. I am the dark you can't control. I am the pain that keeps you whole. And if you want to keep your soul, have to get down on your knees and fucking.
Yeah. And if you want to crank this all the way up, you get some super gnarly resonance.
You are stokes of flame as it swallows you.
It creates a whole new
Your
harmony.
power, wealth, and fame devours you. I am the dark you can't control. I am the pain that keeps you whole.
And obviously,
if you want to keep your soul, you'll have to get down on your.
proceeding. Now it shrinks way down back to the original drum loop. Sub kicks go away. Everything goes away except for just the drums and the tritone synth thing. As well as these guitar loop harmonies slowly fade back in. Oh, and there's a guitar ringing away somewhere. Right here. So this is introduced in the chorus. It's so subtle you won't notice it. That's what it sounds like. Add the crush, some delay, some flange, some panning. So it's really just a sound bite, you know? It's not even really a guitar. Oh, there's also tritone synth fucked up. What are you? Ah, yeah. I added this layer to connect with the original tritone synth. It's the same thing, just slowed down, and when they're played together, it sounds fucked up. It's a composing trick. Then the original GarageBand distorted vocals come back in. And you get slammed into a whole new section. So let's go from the bottom up. Vocals. We got this ad-lib vocal, which I did that with this microphone in this room. You might not notice, but there's no carpet, there's no sound, there's no acoustic treatment, no nothing. It's very, very reverberated in here. So when you scream and add a bunch of distortion and shit, there's a long tail, which normally is a big no-no, but I liked it in the context of the song, so I rolled with it. Yeah, you can hear the room in the back there.
Come on, get down on your knees, you'll pray for it.
Just outside of my room.
Come on and pray.
Yeah. Now we're just completely balls out, going as hard as we can. This is where live drums come in. They're programmed, but it's that MIDI engine that I told you about before. There it is. This is what the MIDI drums sound like. It's being subbed into a amp sim. This is the newer kick drum layered in with the thicker original one, which I like better. It's beefier. And other than that, the drums are the same, except the sub kick is now gone because you don't need it anymore. Now we got trip hats introduced. It's the same thing as before. It's a different pattern though, it looks like. Then we got 16th hats. It's panning. And on top of that we got offbeat hats. Right? Cool stuff. All together, percussion wise, you got this. I try to add live fills where I could to make it sound lively, right? And here's where it explodes. Drums don't change that much from that point. What else we got going on here? The bass is pretty much the same. It's a little, again, I play more fills because it's gotta get exciting and whatnot, right? Slides and stuff like that. Layered on top of that, we got heavy sub bass and heavy higher bass, which is the same. This is the higher bass. This is a sub bass. So layer all that together. Like bass itself. And in the part where the drums explode, you'll see I have this EQ set up to engage right at that point where it just adds too much sub information and really rattle. Also, on top of that, we got... See, the guitars are going. Not much changing here, except... looks like instead of single notes... Instead of just single notes, I'm more confident to play power chords and just drive through the whole thing. Guitar harmonies also come back. They're buried, you won't know. Flange guitar comes back. Tritone synth comes back. And then we also got tritone synth in your face. And that leads us out of it. That's pretty much the whole song. A little tidbit. I believe this is the original. I want your soul. Yeah. This is the ad-libs that I recorded in the car that day. And you'll notice... Here's where I get a little excited. I'm sitting at the driver's seat, by the way. Come on and play. Fucking knock the horn. Yeah. To tie out the song, it's those harmonies going and the trip hats, which if you notice, there's a little delay on them. I think it's being sent somewhere. I hit it so well that I can't even find it. But I love hidden secrets and tricks and things, so I added this little, not really an Easter egg, it's just, you know, if you're listening at a normal volume, you're probably not going to hear that delay, but if you crank it up, you'll start to hear it. There's this Black Sabbath album called Sabotage. At the end of the last song, it like fades out, and then really, really faintly, you can hear an extra bonus track that you have to like crank up your stereo if you want to hear it, and that changed my brain chemistry discovering that. So I love, you know, secrets in music. I love hidden tracks. Of course, I have to sneak that into my own music. That's a song. That's Pray. So thank you guys for watching. If you want more of these breakdowns, let me know. I got plenty more material to cover. Otherwise, just stay tuned and I'll see you around. Thanks. Bye.